Now, don't you just hate it when there's that person in your life that always comes to you with a solution to everything, right? Um, and sometimes I look in the mirror at myself and I go, yeah, you are that culprit, right? You think you got the solution for everything. Um, but there's this saying that there are no perfect solutions in life, only trade-offs. Now, what I'm going to do is bring up two examples in the roofing game where there are no perfect solutions and only trade-offs. So the first one has to be leaf guard. And I get that question all the time from homeowners who are living in areas where there are lots of trees. So there's leaves fall on the roof, go into the gutters, and they go, should I install leaf guards? Are they worth it? Now, if you were in the gutter business, you would surely say, I got the perfect solution for you, leaf guard. But when I get that question asked, my response is always yes and no. Leaf guard is not a perfect solution. There are trade-offs. So let's go through what leaf guard actually does. It's a netting, and the idea is that it deflects the debris and the leaves, goes over the top of the gutter and falls to the ground. So in theory, nothing goes into your gutter and your gutter doesn't block up, and it's maintenance free for years and years and years. In reality, there is no perfect leaf guard that doesn't let debris inside. So after a while, you get a situation where you got gutters and you got a nice silt layer sitting on the bottom of your layer, and very often it's a nursery. You've got plants growing out of your gutters. Now, normally, if you've got plant growing out of your gutters, you go up there and you scrape it off. You get a gutter cleaner and they'll come in and they got tools to actually scrape all the dirt off the gutter, and you've got clean gutters. But if you've got leaf guard, they can't do that. You've got to take all the leaf guard off, then do your cleaning, and then the question is, do you put leaf guard back on? Because you can't put the old leaf guard back on. You've got to put new leaf guard on. So you've got to think every few years you have to go through this cycle of cleaning, taking the old leaf guard off, putting new leaf guard on, and then ask the question, is that a good trade-off against just getting the gutters clean on a regular basis and not put leaf guard on? So leaf guards is a perfect example of no perfect solution, only trade-offs. And this is a case where it shows that there are no solutions, only trade-offs. Because you can see there's a gap in here, and that's where the leaves get in, because you're supposed to do a cut and the leaf guard, so you can physically put the leaf guard in. So you do that, and so you get stuff going in there, and as a result, if you look closely, you can see growth in the gutters all the way along there. And because you can't clean it, you get that happening. So eventually you'll have to take all the leaf guard off and give the gutters a nice clean, and either put the same leaf guard back on or new leaf guard on. Now, the second example is end of life. And as human beings, all of us have to consider end of life. That's end of our lives and the lives of people around us. What do we do when it approaches the end? And we've got to ask the same question when you look at a roof, because there are some roofs that are obviously at the end of their lives, and you've got to ask the question, what do you actually do? The obvious solution is take it out, put a new roof on. So why isn't that a perfect solution? Well, depending on the circumstances, like this particular house I went to, for instance, the house is so old and the roof matches the house. And the solution to put a brand new roof on a house that is almost falling apart doesn't really make a lot of sense. So the owners have said, listen, in 5 years or so, we plan to demolish and we're going to redevelop. But we need something to take us through for the next 5 years. And I say to them, well, usually 5 years turn into 10 years. So we've got to look at a 10-year solution for you.
It's going to be a while, probably like 5 years.
All right, okay. But you don't want to do too much.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That's the point.
If you're going to be knocking down.
Exactly.
Because you got, you don't want to spend too much money on your roof because like your house you're going to spend money on, right?
Exactly.
So I'm going to go, what is the pain point? So you've got leaks coming in, right?
Yeah.
And then we're going to go, if you're going to be 5 years, 5 years usually mean 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? So we're going to go, okay, what can we do to prolong this house for another 10 years?
Yeah.
So I would go and have a look inside and see where your pain areas are, where it's leaking and all that, and go, okay, what can we come up with that would make sense, be logical?
Yeah.
Make sense to you?
Yeah. I like the way
So
you think.
if you want to show me your pain points, I can see there's a leak right there. You've got a gutter, I think that would be causing that. This is a roof that's at its end of its life, and like all things, when you're talking about the length of a life and what to do, there's always the talk about prolongation, and that's to make the life last a little bit longer. So I think that's what we're going to try to do with this particular roof. And the nature of this roof is that this section at the back, the skillion section, is quite flat and it doesn't take much to cause leaks. You can see there's a hole right there, and all along that lap you would expect rust holes all the way along here, and you have holes in there. Sheets are loose. Right, we've looked at this section and we have decided that that can't be prolonged, but this is in a bit of an exception because on a raked roof, the roof is just as old, but the watershed's a lot better. And this is a section where we could say this could go for a few more years without doing a lot of work to it, maybe a little minor work in there that we need doing. Certainly there's a leak on the chimney and we need to put a tray flashing around the chimney and then dress the flashings properly so that the chimney doesn't leak. And apart from that, if we're thinking about end of life and being able to go a little bit longer, this section of the pitch roof can stay. It can last a bit longer. So in this particular example, doing spot running repairs is a solution, or it can also be a trade-off depending on the circumstances that you are in. But it doesn't matter what circumstance, you've got to make a decision, right? So whatever decision you make is not going to be the perfect solution. It's going to be a trade-off. So what do we do when faced with these everyday decisions we've got to make? It's quite easy, right? Just make a decision. We know that we'll never get everything right. There will always be a trade-off, and that every decision we make will be a suboptimal one, and it doesn't really matter. Just make a decision and run with it.